An ex-boyfriend has been charged with murder in the gruesome killing of a young woman in Brooklyn.
For almost 30 days, Dereja Johnson kept living. Her phone rang and got answered. Her paychecks kept landing. Her mother kept getting texts telling her everything was fine. Every one of those signs was false. Dereja was already gone. The man responsible for that was still inside her apartment, close enough to hear if anyone knocked, speaking for her, texting for her, becoming her, one message at a time. Her family had no reason to worry. Her employer had no reason to ask questions. The building had no reason to check. For almost a month, the lie held. Nobody around her knew what had actually happened. And the person keeping that secret was the only one who did. This is how that silence was built, and how it finally broke.
Disturbing scene inside an apartment in Cypress Hills. Authorities were conducting a wellness check at the location when they found the victim.
Yeah, so many questions at this hour, including just who the victim is and how this could happen. James Ford is live for us at the scene tonight with more. James.
And that wellness check you talked about up on the 6th floor of this building was the result of two things: people not having heard from the victim for a while, and neighbors giving complaints about a foul smell. All day long, crime scene investigators and detectives kept coming and going from the building here on Linwood Street and Atlantic Avenue. They removed a lot of evidence related to the gruesome find that had been made here on Wednesday. That's when the building's super, who'd received complaints of a foul odor coming from apartment 6F, let police in to check on a woman in her early 20s. They found parts of her body cut up and left in 2 suitcases, according to police. This man, who did not want to give his name, lives on the same floor a few doors down.
You hear arguing, banging, loud stuff, regular stuff, but you can't, like I said, if you try to interrupt or something like that, you're just putting yourself in a problem you can't solve.
He said that the woman and her boyfriend would regularly fight, and there was often evidence that it got very physical most of the time.
Somebody gets hit very hard in the mouth, right? The blood trail will lead from the door to the elevator. They stood in the elevator, obviously, to the first floor, came back out to the front of the building. The blood trail stops there, and you see them both arguing in front of the building.
The boyfriend is being sought in the case, according to neighbors. Some other residents of the building say this is just too close to home.
I want to move. I'm annoyed and I'm shocked.
Some other people from the neighborhood say that while the case is disturbing, they're not surprised.
Now this is the second time in this neighborhood that something like this has happened. And
by the summer of 2022, Dereja Johnson was 22 years old, and she was building something for herself. She worked at Macy's inside Queens Center Mall, showing up reliably, shift after shift. She was also in school, working toward becoming a teacher, putting in the hours it takes to change a life. She had recently moved into a supportive housing building in East New York, a place meant to give young women a fresh start and a real chance at safety. People who knew her described someone quiet and steady, someone who kept to a routine. Mornings, she left for work. Evenings, she came home. To her neighbors, that was the whole picture. A young woman focused on her job, her classes, and the future she was working toward. Nobody watching that routine could have guessed how little time she had left to live it. The man behind that quiet routine had a name: Justin Williams. He and Deja had been together, on and off, for several years by the time that summer arrived. To people outside the relationship, it looked complicated, the kind of on-again, off-again that neighbors stop asking questions about. inside it, according to those who lived nearby, something far more serious was happening. One neighbor, Stephanie Harris, later told reporters that for roughly 2 years, she had watched a pattern repeat itself. Williams showing up uninvited. Williams forcing his way into Deja's apartment. Deja left hurt, badly enough that it was impossible to miss. This was not something whispered about after the fact. People in that building had heard it happening in real time. Arguments loud enough to carry through the walls, followed by a quiet that felt worse. Deja's own mother heard about it too, and she did not stay silent. She pushed for her daughter to move somewhere Williams could not reach her. And more than once, according to Harris, she said the same fear out loud, that she believed her daughter was going to end up dead. She would turn out to be right. What she could not have known was how soon.
By the time that summer came, Deja had done what survivors are so often told to do. She got out. She moved into supportive housing built specifically for women trying to break free from relationships like hers. And she took the legal step meant to keep Williams away for good. An active order of protection. A court order requiring him to stay away from her completely. On paper, Deja Johnson was protected. She and Williams were broken up. That much was clear. The order was in place. She was supposed to be done with him. But surveillance footage from her building told a different story. Between August 17th and August 21st, cameras captured the two of them coming and going from her apartment together. He was back. What brought him back, what was said to get through that door again, is something only the two of them will ever fully know. What matters is this. Justin Williams was inside that building, inside her home, during the exact window that would end her life. An order of protection is a legal document. It carries weight in a courtroom. It carries none on a locked door if the person it was written to stop decides to knock anyway. And Williams had spent years proving exactly that.
On the evening of August 21st, Deja finished a shift at work and went home. It was an ordinary end to an ordinary day, the kind she had lived through hundreds of times in that building. She had no way of knowing it would be her last. In the early hours of the following morning, Justin Williams attacked her inside that apartment. What happened in those moments was sudden and it was final. Prosecutors would later describe it as a sustained, deliberate assault, not a single instant of anger that came and went. While it was happening, Deja tried to reach out. She managed to contact someone outside that apartment, a call for help sent in her final moments. It did not arrive in time. By sunrise, Deja Johnson was gone, and Justin Williams was the only person left in that room who knew what had happened. He would carry that secret for weeks, and everything he did next was built to protect it.
What Justin Williams did next stretched on for almost a month, and it required him to stay. He did not run. He did not disappear. He stayed inside that apartment, in the same rooms Denisha had lived in, and he began managing what he had done, like a problem to be handled quietly. He contacted her job at Macy's, posing as her, calling out on her behalf so her paychecks kept arriving. He used her bank card and her public benefits card, spending her money to stock the apartment with what he needed and to bring other people through that door,
people who had no idea what they were walking into. He even brought his own teenage son into that same apartment during this period, treating the space as if nothing about it had changed. When Denisha's family started reaching out, worried they hadn't heard from her, Williams answered her phone. He told them she was fine. He told them not to worry. Her family posted about her online, hoping someone had seen her, calling her number again and again, hoping she'd finally pick up. Sometimes, in a sense, she did. It was Williams on the other end, keeping the lie alive, one message at a time. A woman named Tatiana Hackett also became connected to this period. She used Denisha's benefits card at supermarkets around Brooklyn after the killing. She had no role in what happened to Denisha herself, but her involvement would later become its own small She had no role in what happened to Denisha herself, but her involvement would later become its own small chapter in this case's aftermath. For nearly 30 days, the lie held together. Denisha's absence was explained away, one phone call, one message, one excuse at a time. Nobody outside that apartment knew the truth. Only one person did, and he had every reason to keep it that way. The lie held until September 21st, when staff at Denisha's building grew concerned. She had not been seen in weeks, and something about the apartment had started drawing attention from the people who lived nearby. Building personnel decided to check on her directly and requested a wellness check. When they approached, Justin Williams ran. He left before anyone could stop him, before any questions could be asked. That reaction alone told the building staff everything they needed to know. Police were called in immediately. What they found inside that apartment confirmed the worst fears anyone in that building had been quietly carrying for weeks. Denisha Johnson had been dead the entire time. The routine everyone believed they were seeing, the calls, the messages, the excuses, had never been real. It had all been Justin Williams, keeping a secret that was now impossible to hide any longer.
An ex-boyfriend has been charged with murder in the gruesome killing of a young woman in Brooklyn. Police say they arrested 25-year-old Justin Williams in the death of 22-year-old Denisha Johnson. Police say her body parts were found inside 2 suitcases in September in an apartment in Cypress Hills. Williams was also charged with concealment of a human corpse. Investigators say the woman had an active protection order against him.
Justin Williams did not stay to answer questions that day, but he did not stay out of reach for long either. On October 1st, he was picked up by police in Nassau County on charges unrelated to Denisha's case: assault, grand larceny, and bail jumping. By then, he had already become the person Brooklyn detectives most needed to speak with. Once he was in custody, investigators sat down with him for an interview that stretched almost 2 hours. Williams waived his right to remain silent. Over the course of that interview, he admitted to what he had done. He confirmed the details investigators had already begun piecing together from the building's surveillance footage, from the financial records tied to Denisha's accounts, and from the timeline neighbors and staff had helped establish in the weeks before. His own words, given freely in that room, became one of the strongest pieces of evidence against him. For investigators, It confirmed everything the evidence had already been pointing toward. For Deja's family, it meant the uncertainty of the past several weeks was finally over, replaced by a different kind of weight entirely, one that would follow the case all the way into a courtroom.
On November 7th, 2022, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office announced its indictment against Justin Williams. He was arraigned on second-degree murder and concealment of a human corpse, and held without bail. That was only the starting point. As investigators worked through the financial trail he'd left behind, more charges followed. Grand larceny for the money taken from Deja's accounts. Criminal impersonation for posing as her to her employer and her family. Welfare fraud for the benefits used in her name after her death. Each charge represented a piece of the month he'd spent covering his tracks, now written formally into the case against him. What had once been a private, hidden routine was now part of the public record, laid out for a courtroom to examine. The case reached trial in Brooklyn Supreme Court before Justice Danny Chun. For the prosecution, Senior Assistant District Attorney Matthew Perry and Assistant District Attorney Ernest Chin laid out the case piece by piece. The confession Williams had given detectives, the surveillance footage placing him inside Deja's building during the exact window she was killed, the financial records showing how he'd spent her money in the weeks after, and the timeline his own actions had created. Defending Williams was attorney Erin Darcy. Her argument didn't dispute what he had done. It focused on what he intended. She told the court he never meant to kill Deja, that what happened wasn't planned, and asked the judge to consider 15 years to life instead of the maximum. The prosecution disagreed, and they had a full account of the weeks that followed to support their position. On June 16th, 2026, the jury returned its verdict: guilty on every count. Second-degree murder, concealment of a human corpse, grand larceny, criminal possession of stolen property, criminal impersonation, welfare fraud. Nearly 4 years after Deja Johnson lost her life, a jury had heard the full account of what happened to her and reached its decision.
On August 12th, 2026, Justin Williams returned to that same courtroom to hear his sentence. Justice Danny Chun handed down 25 years to life for the murder, plus a consecutive 1 to 3 years for concealing Deja's body, bringing the total to 26 years to life in prison. Before announcing it, Chun addressed the court directly. He said this was not a single moment of anger that came and went. Williams had acted over a long stretch of time, made deliberate choices, and when people finally began asking questions, he ran rather than come forward. None of that, Chun said, looked like remorse. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez echoed that point afterward, stating that Deja had suffered terribly at Williams' hands, and that what he did in the weeks following her death only compounded that cruelty toward her memory and toward the family desperately searching for her. Williams addressed the courtroom before sentencing. He told those present, "I love you all." For Deja's family, sitting in that courtroom after nearly 4 years of waiting, the moment carried its own weight. One family member, Michael Bell, spoke afterward about what the sentence meant and what it could never undo.
Deja Johnson did what she was told would keep her safe. She left the relationship. She got the order of protection. She moved into housing built specifically for women trying to escape situations like hers. Every step she took followed the guidance survivors are given, and it still wasn't enough to stop what happened to her. That's the part of this case that stays with people long after the sentencing ends. A court order is only as strong as the willingness of one person to honor it. And Justin Williams had already shown, for years, that he wouldn't. Those closest to Deja saw it coming before anyone else did. Neighbors heard it through the walls. Her own mother said it out loud, months before that summer, that she feared her daughter would end up dead. She was right, and no one was able to stop it in time. What happened to Deja Johnson is a reminder that the systems meant to protect survivors of abuse can only do so much once someone decides not to listen. Sometimes the warning is there, plainly, long before the outcome arrives. The hardest part is that hearing it doesn't always mean there's enough time left to act on it. Cases like this one are why this channel exists, to lay out exactly what happened, in full, so the people at the center of it are remembered as more than a headline. If this case affected you the way it affected putting it together, subscribe and stay for the next one.